Hello, good morning. My name is Adrefiza, a lecturer in TESOL at Jambi University, Sumatra, Indonesia. I'm happy to have an opportunity to present a paper at TEFL conference today, and I hope we will be able to share and discuss some important ideas related to the topic of my paper. Now, please have a look at the title of my paper. Students' Voices on Lectures Written Corrective Feedback, WCF, a survey at English Study Education Program, FKIP, Jambi University. In this research, I was investigating the students' evaluation or perception toward the lectures written corrective feedback provided on the writing assignments or tasks, including the student's thesis. This is actually the continuation of my previous study last year on the student supervisory interaction through written corrective feedback, focusing on the classifications of feedbacks according to Janet Holmes' 2012 models, speech act functions, differential, directive, and expressive. But in current study, I put rise on the students' appreciation on the lecture's feedback and see which type of the feedback is best preferred by the students. The results will be expected to offer a critical evaluation on student lecture supervisory practices, which should be useful in an attempt to create an effective and workable model of written corrective feedbacks provided by the lectures in optimizing the students' writing skills and performance through increasing student self-directed learning. There are a few prominent phenomena that we can notice so far in terms of studying written corrective feedbacks in our context. I noticed that supervisory interactions are not intensive or common, and sometimes they are not meaningful, particularly in our local context of higher education institutions. Students do not receive enough feedback from lecturers, either in terms of quality and quantity. As the result, students do not learn much from the feedback, nor do they improve their writing skills and performance effectively. Many studies suggest that written corrective feedbacks accelerate students' learning, especially it enhances self-regulated learning. At the same time, there has been very little studies on written corrective feedbacks provided by the lecturers in terms of its efficacy and effectiveness, not to mention in its relations to students' perception, evaluation, response, and appreciation. Now, this is an example of inaccuracy or errors produced by the students. And we may have different ways of responding to these errors. Some of us may underline the incorrect forms. Some others may put question marks on the incorrect form. And some others may be preferring to replace the incorrect form with the correct ones. So this is the trend in general in our attempts to respond to the students' errors, either in writing or in speaking. But this study focuses on writing. Again, when we look at this example, the errors seem to be serious. Inappropriate provision of feedback may discourage the students to learn, so that lectures should provide wise and careful feedback so that the students are motivated to study and they learn quite a lot from the feedbacks. This is a research proposal written by a student in his final semester. And to be honest, many students do not receive enough feedbacks from the supervisors or from the lecturers who supervise or guide the thesis. And this should never happen actually. In fact, the student will learn quite a lot from the type of responses provided by the lecturers, either direct or indirect. This is an example of feedbacks provided by the lecturer, by a lecturer on the students' writings, especially in responding to errors produced by the students in research proposal. We can see here that the lecturers try to provide many responses to indicate or to make the students realize where the wrongs are. And some of them use linguistic features, and some others use non-linguistic features like errors, underlines, ticks, cross, and many other forms. And the use of interjections, for example, here is also interesting to note. This may reflect the lecturer's emotion. Maybe the lecturer feels upset because of these errors. So this paper is trying to investigate which types of errors, which types of responses are best preferred by the students in their attempt to improve their learning or to improve their writing skills and performance. Now, according to Janet Holmes, cited by Kumar and Straka in 2007, lectures' responses can be categorized into three main categories. Referential, which consists of editorial, organization, content. Directive, which are categorized into suggestions, question, and instruction. And finally, expressive, which consists of praise, criticism, and opinion. And these are the examples of the expressions of the responses. And of course, the lecturers can also use non-linguistic expressions and symbols in their written corrective feedbacks. Three research questions are posed in this paper. First, I would like to know how the students perceive the lecturer's written corrective feedback provided on their writing tasks or assignments, and how the students learn from the feedbacks. And lastly, what type of feedbacks is best preferred by the students. I collected the data through an online survey questionnaire distributed to 46 students through emails. And the respondents were asked to express their preference, evaluations, or appreciation on the lecturer's feedbacks according to speech act functions, categorization, directive, referential, and expressive. The findings. First of all, I would like to find out whether the students prefer to have direct or indirect feedbacks. from the lectures, or the combinations between direct and indirect. And the result shows that more than 50% of the students prefer the direct type, meaning that they like to have a direct comment, direct refreshment of the incorrect forms from the lectures. And it's only 15.2% of the students prefer the indirect one. So we can say that the majority of the respondents like to have direct types of the responses from the lectures, because according to them, they can learn more effectively from this type. At the same time, through the indirect type, they may find it difficult to understand the meaning of the corrections or the feedbacks. Right, at the same time, there are 26% of the students prefer the combination of direct and indirect types. When we look at the students' evaluation on the lectures written corrective feedback types, we can see something like this on this table. So there are 9 types of sub-categorizations of the feedbacks provided by the lectures according to Janet Holmes' model. Now, we can see here that praise type is best preferred and is most popular among the students. Out of 5 score maximum, this category is rated 4.06 by the students, meaning that they prefer to have praise, some things like good, great, good expressions, well done, some things like that. At the same time, suggestion is also rated high by the students on their evaluations, with the maximum score of 3.71, meaning that they prefer or they like to have suggestions in their writing assignments from the lectures. Suggestions, some things like, you should do this, you should organize, you should change, or why not put something else here, and some things like that. Editorial is another type of written corrective feedback, which is rated high by the students. And also opinion. Now we can also see here that criticism, okay? Criticism is low rated. It's not very popular among the respondents, among the students. In other words, they don't like criticisms from the lectures on their writing tasks. So just like what many students do, okay, they feel it hard to respond to the criticism. Meanwhile, this criticism might be sometimes useful for the students to learn, so they can anticipate what is wrong, okay, in the writing. But in this study, it appears that they don't like criticism. And also they don't like instruction, okay, because they are not very popular. And also some things like organization and content. So it's very interesting. This is research work, academic writing. And the students do not like the comments or the feedbacks from the lectures in its relation to the content, either research content or something else. So praise is the most preferred type with the average score of 4.06. Criticism is the lowest in rate with only 2.3 on average. At the same time, suggestion, opinion, and editorial remain relatively high, reaching over 3.0 on average in the student's evaluation. Other types which receive relatively low evaluation from the students are instruction, organization, and content. These categories are rated lower than 3 on the average in the student's evaluation. Now, this table shows the students' evaluations on the use of non-linguistic features in the lecture's written corrective feedback. We can see here that the bar, which is colored in yellow, this is the use of something like arrows, circles, underline, cross, ticks, are best preferred by the students. And the average rate is 3.04. It's a relatively high actually. Okay? And the difference looks significant compared to the other two types, question mark and interjection. So the other two categories, like the use of question mark and interjection, are not highly appreciated and rated only 2.24 and 2.32 respectively. Now, when we come to the students' evaluation on their writing improvement from the lecture's written corrective feedbacks, it shows something like this. As we can see from this table, the students learn in 4 areas from the lecture's WCF: grammar, vocabulary, organization, and mechanics. So the students will be able to improve the writing in 4 main areas on the basis of the lecture's written corrective feedbacks. And we can see here, grammar and vocabulary are the highest in red, with the average score of 3.43. And we can also see here the organization is the lowest in red with only 2.97, while mechanic is relatively high with more than 3.0 in red. So basically, we can infer that students learn quite a lot from the lecture's written corrective feedback, especially in improving the grammar, vocabulary, and also mechanics and organization. Conclusions. In general, students appreciate all forms of written corrective feedbacks provided by the lectures on the writing task. Any forms, either direct or indirect, either through the use of linguistic features, expressions, or through the use of non-linguistic features like circles, arrows, underlines, and many other forms. And the majority of the students prefer direct feedback. Praise, suggestions, and opinions are more preferable than the other types of written corrective feedbacks. Criticisms, instructions, and organization are less preferable than the others. And it is evident that students learn a lot from lectures written corrective feedbacks in 4 main areas: grammar, vocabulary, organization, and mechanics. And sometimes it may be more effective compared to the formal teaching of writing itself. Because through WCF, the student can remember much longer, okay, through the type of feedbacks provided by the lectures. Students' error in the end should be wisely and carefully treated through the use of effective feedbacks so that the students improve their self-regulated learning and the students are not discouraged. I think that's all for my presentations, and I would be pleased if you can comment on this and ask some questions. Thank you very much and see you. Bye-bye.